Okay, so just really quick, I have another Etsy website that I started it's been up for a couple of years. I think I've had one item sitting on it or a couple items sitting on it for a long time, um, but wasn't really working the Etsy website. So back in, I want to say in about October, I decided to push my website, Family T-shirt shop, over to Etsy. Um, but I made kind of a mistake. I had the name Kids T-shirt Shop associated with it, and then I decided to change it to Family T-shirt Shop. Well, that ended up being kind of a big mistake because now both names are tied up with that same shop on Etsy. And so when you go there to Family T-shirt Shop or Kids T-shirt Shop, it has both names. I put both names on the header because I can't really use it for either or. And I wanted to do a separate site for each of them, and I'm not at this point, and I'll probably just leave it as it is. But so, anyhow, back in October, I started adding things to it and have gotten a little bit more aggressive with it. And then I started doing some promoting within the back end of Etsy. So Etsy has some built-in. So we're looking at the back end of that shop. When you go to your shop and then go to promote, you have an advertising dashboard. And then right over here, you've got promoting listings through Etsy and promoting listings through Google Shopping. So I've been doing both. And for me, kind of my threshold is I would love to get to where my advertising is only about 10% of my cost. Now, my margins are good on the t-shirt. So if I'm selling the t-shirts for $15 and it's costing me 10%, it's costing me about $1.50 per t-shirt that I sell in advertising. 20%, it's costing me about $3. Now, if I sell one t-shirt for $15 and it cost me $3 to get that t-shirt sold, and it cost me $2 in cost for the t-shirt. Overall, my total cost on the t-shirt was about $5. The cost of promoting it plus the cost of goods sold on the product. And in that case, I'm selling it for $15. I'm actually making about $10 on the t-shirt, so it's actually not too bad. If I am spending more than that 30%, well, then my cost is up to $4.50, $5.50, $6.50, about $6.50. I'm making less money, but it's still tolerable. Now, in this case, if you look at this, promoting my listings on Etsy, I've generated 260 clicks at a cost of $68.14 in the last month, and it's generated 174.88 in the last 30 days. Now, I did go and put this together in a spreadsheet, and you can see that is actually nearly 40%. So it's costing me $6 per t-shirt with the advertising on Etsy. Now, granted, I'm turning t-shirts. If my goal is to actually be turning them, I'm generating some sales. People are finding them through this Etsy advertising, and they're buying them. I'm just not maybe generating sales at the cost that I would prefer. I would much rather a cost closer to $1.50 per t-shirt, and this is closer to $6 per t-shirt. Now, $6 per t-shirt plus my $2 cost, that's $8 a t-shirt, selling it for $14.95, $14.99. Yeah, I'm still making $7 a t-shirt off of each of these sales. So this is not exactly terrible, and it's better than nothing, really. I still have the cost of my Etsy site. I still have the cost of all my listings on Etsy that I've got to pay for every 3 or 4 months to renew listings. So to be generating some sales is good to compensate for those costs. However, I don't want to continue paying 40% per shirt cost. So if we go look at the Google, now I did have the Google listed there so you could see it as well. I'm spending much less. I'm spending $1 per day. I've had 120 clicks. It's cost me $21.60 per click. And it's generated $108.92 in revenue. My cost is far less doing the Google pay-per-click. Now, if I was to bump it up to $3 per click, would it turn around and generate an equal volume sales? Well, if it did, and I was spending $3 per day, and I was generating, those sales at that same ratio of 20% per click, 20% of the cost per sale. I'm going to make a lot more money, and I'm probably going to generate a lot more revenue. So, but when I'm looking at this, trying to determine whether I should do something equally with the other site, with the digital t-shirt shop site, what this is telling me is that it's actually working. So Etsy has it built in that for every dollar that I'm spending in advertising, it's monitoring the conversion of I promoted the listing, and that listing was clicked on, and that click converted into a sale. And here was the dollar value of that sale. Now, you can do that with Google pay-per-click as well, with Google AdWord advertising. However, you got to do more to kind of embed that into your sales. The way Etsy has it set up is it's actually pretty easy to set it up, and it's pretty easy to do. So if I was to go to digital t-shirt shop and I was to go and start promoting, I'm going to go into promote and advertising options. And that's where I'm at right now. Now I don't have any of those set up, but they're both right here. I can go in and I can click on let's start advertising on Etsy and let's start advertising on Google Shopping. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to click on this first button, Etsy promote listings, and I'm going to say I'm just going to start with $1 a day, and I think it maxes at $10. Right there, minimum $1, maximum $10. Automatically advertise my new listings. That's great. And then I'm going to say start advertising, and I believe it is that easy to do. So they've gone ahead and they've opened up the advertising dashboard right here. So now, just that simple, I'm set up to advertise. Congratulations, we're promoting. Good. Now I'm going to go back to that promote dashboard. Oh, it's not going to let me do it that way now. So I've got them, the two tabs are right here. So I'm going to go into Google Shopping, and then I'm going to say let's start advertising on Google as well. And I'm going to say $1. I'm just mainly focused on the United States. Go ahead and automatically advertise new listings and start. So this is going to add, on an average month of 30 days, $30 per campaign to our monthly expenses. So we've gone from no marketing expense really, besides buying I actually haven't bought the little cards yet. I've been lazy, but we did buy the stickers, and they haven't shown up yet. Oh yeah, they have shown up, but we've bought the stickers. We've got our social media campaign pages that are free. We're not promoting through Facebook, and I really think Facebook is a waste. On Facebook, you can promote, but it's not even though it puts your name and your face in front of people, it's not a venue where anybody's really necessarily shopping. I know it's great for exposure and it's great for building a brand, but really, honestly, they're not buying. They're not at the moment looking to buy. You're just kind of hoping that they'll turn around and click and buy. If they're shopping on Etsy and they're looking through Etsy, they're actually looking to buy. They're actually in Etsy. They're actually looking at products, or they're at least much more interested in buying than whether they're looking to see what their neighbors are doing or their friends are doing on Facebook. Um, in addition to that, Google pay per click. Google pay per click, even though for us the cost has been on this other listing, even though the the cost has actually been a lot better than on Etsy, but um, the difference with Google Shopping is oftentimes people are looking for that type of a product. They're looking for something that says this, or they're looking for something that says that. And the Google advertisements and shopping leads pull up based on what that person's looking for, where in Facebook, oftentimes you're just kind of hitting demographics. People aren't necessarily looking to buy. So I really I've felt from past experience that if I'm looking to actually sell a product, my advertising dollars are much better spent on Google pay per click than they are elsewhere. And obviously, from comparing, the advertising cost within Etsy versus Google pay per click, they're spent much better on the Google Shopping. So now it could be different for somebody else. It could just be that for me right now. And if I was to equal it by spending $3 a day on Google versus $3 a day on Etsy, would I uh, have an equal proportion, an equal ratio of sales to expenses on my advertising? And we'd have to see. So, but as it is, so I've gone ahead and we decided to go from uh, not advertising to advertising. So we've gone ahead and set both of those up. It's going to take a day probably for it to, us to start seeing numbers on it. But we'll look at this a little bit later and see whether those numbers are actually generating sales. And then at a point, we may turn around and start bumping it up to see if we can generate greater sales based on what we're selling. So there we go. We'll see how that does.